This is it. This is live. This is real. This is not a test. So, how about if you listen? That'd be great. I wanted to jump on here and do this live stream because I've had so many conversations in the last 4 or 5 days with people who can't figure out why nobody listens to them. And when I say nobody listens to them, I mean, like on Facebook and social media, in their attempts to get clients. Now, if you watch me and you pay attention to me, you're probably already open to the idea that establishing yourself as a coach or a service provider, an expert, a freelancer, whatever it is not as easy as you've been led to believe. That's probably not a stretch for you to figure that part out now. But here's the thing, based on the conversations I've had, many with clients who are struggling. They're struggling. What I've found is that the idea that somehow there's an easy button, the idea that, if only you do this, then everything would fall into place. The whole, this is dead, do this instead, all of that mentality, all of that sort of, that set of ideas that you want to get fancy, that diaspora. I think that it gets into our heads on levels lower than we're aware of, or harder to define and harder to identify than we're aware of. Because here's what it takes to establish your credibility. It's actually very, very easy. And by the way, if you're not getting the kind of like hands raising for your offers and you don't have enough clients, and basically if you want to do better than you're doing, your credibility might be, well, let me put it this way. If I find something that is more foundational than credibility, that's what I'll be talking about. Because your credibility is, it's the quality of, I'm trying to think of an analogy. Let me say this instead of an analogy. Without credibility, the only thing you can do, the only thing you can hope to do with your content and your marketing is build credibility. That's it, right? You've heard me banging on for years, for the better part of a decade now, about trust, about know, like, and trust. Or in the old days, in what I consider real marketing, like the broader world of marketing, it's attention, interest, desire, and action. Attention is just getting in front of people, just getting your content in front of their eyeballs. Interest could be construed as know, from the know, like, and trust. You've got to capture their interest. So how do you capture their interest? Well, I can tell by looking at my Facebook feed. I can tell by talking to my clients, and I can tell because I'm just generally kind of an insightful guy that most of you are too afraid to take a real stand on anything. And as a result, people don't know who you are. Interestingly, I'm watching the show West Wing again. Watch it every probably 2 years. It's just that good, but maybe that's a different live stream. But we're at the part right now where there's a candidate running for president, and they're having this big internal conversation with his campaign team about whether or not the voters know who he is and whether or not the voters know who his wife is. And I think it's so interesting and timely because here's what you should take from that. That show is like 30 years old. And they're talking about the exact same thing I'm talking to you about here. So what that means is I'm not just pulling this out of the ethers. I'm not just making this up, right? This is well known enough that it made its way into a very like fact accurate TV show from 30 years ago. You can go back and you can read David Ogilvy. You can read Eugene Schwartz. You can read John Carlton. You can read anyone you want who's an expert on this topic. Study Rory Sutherland. You will see somewhere in there, and maybe they won't use the word credibility, and maybe they will. Maybe they won't use the word trust, and maybe they will. But somewhere in there, you're going to discover that you cannot escape the know, like, and trust, or said in the old way, the attention, interest, desire, action, process flow. You can't escape it. This is why you see me, it's one of the reasons why you see me rail so hard against these absurd ads that come through our feeds every day with these absurd promises. If you've been watching me for a while and you see my profile too, you might remember me calling out an ad that was called $1 Trillion Coach. Let me just say here, if you're stupid enough to fall for a company called $1 Trillion Coach, you fucking deserve what you get. Okay? Because come on, wake up. All right? Wake the hell up. There are no $1 trillion coaches. So, I digress. But the point here is this. I said earlier about how these ideas of that there's some magical shortcut, I think they really permeate our consciousness below the levels that we're aware of. And I say this because I'm coaching right now. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 of my clients are in the personal brand development phase. That's the phase where you have to build credibility because you don't have it yet. You may have the best program like in your industry. You may have just the most amazing thing. But look, if people don't know you and then like you and then trust you, they're not buying your shit. Can we just have a moment of sanity with this? Can we just have a moment of clarity with this? Okay. They won't. And here's why they won't. Because there's someone else out there who's already done the groundwork of establishing trust with their audience, who's selling something similar to what you're selling. If you're the audience and you've got one person you don't know at all and you don't even have a sense of talking about their big transformative process, and you got another person over here who you know, you like, and you trust, who's talking about their big transformative process, who the hell do you think you're going to buy from? Spoiler alert, it ain't the stranger. Okay, this is human nature we're talking about here, guys. This is human nature. So what you have to do, if you're not getting the sales you want, there are things that stack on top of credibility. Let's think of it like a Jenga tower. Credibility is the base, right? And you can sort of stack other things on top of it. But without the credibility, you're just swimming upstream. You are needless. You're pissing up a rope is what you're doing. You've got to earn credibility. Now, I'm not here to brag, but if you Google my name, you will see the top 10 pages are dominated by me, probably the top 20. And my name is not uncommon. They're surprisingly to me, and much to my dismay, there are lots of many wolves in the world. I know, I'm as shocked as you are. But the point is, I absolutely own at least the first 10 pages of search results. And I do that because I have established my credibility. And you can do the exact same thing. I started off as a nobody. In fact, and I'm not going to get into how tight things were when I started because it sounds too much like those bullshit hero's journey stories, but things were tight. Things were desperately tight when I started this. When I moved away from construction and said, I'm going all in on this, we were squeaking by. So credibility, back to this idea of credibility. You need it. And when you have it, people will trust you. And when people trust you, you can make sales. And then, of course, there's the ethical consideration of actually being good at what you do. And another problem that we see in the internet marketing space is people focus entirely on only credibility and have garbage as their deliverable. You got to do both. But the credibility comes first in the process of making sales. Hope that makes sense. The credibility comes first. Or even said another way, let's just assume you want to argue with that for some reason. Even if the other thing comes first, without the credibility, you won't make the sales. I feel like I just want to scream this from the mountaintops. Without the credibility, you're not making the sales. Okay? You're not. God. So, how do you develop your credibility? Well, let's assume you don't have a massive budget. Let's assume you just want to use organic social media to develop your credibility. I'll break it down for you right here. Step number 1, create the content pillars of your personal brand. Remember that your personal brand is no more and no less than what people say, think, and feel about you behind your back. The idea people have in you of you in their minds is your personal brand. And believe me, even if you're not getting engagement on your content, people are watching. People are watching. Okay? So, is your content all over the map? Does your content worry about taking sides and stating bold positions? Is your content funny and engaging? Now, just statistically, the answer is no to all of those. And that's because most of us don't do those things. However, even if they're absolutely full of crap otherwise, you notice that everyone who does well knows how to create content, and specifically content that bolsters and grows and develops their personal brand, aka their trust, aka their credibility, right? So develop content pillars for your personal brand. I've talked about this so many times. I probably got 50 videos on this, but I'm going to say it again. For me, you know a few things about me. You don't know the full range of who I am. You don't have any idea, but you know a few things about me. And those things are true and they're real. And those are things I've selected to share with you as the most important parts of what I want you to know about me. Right? One of the things is that I'm going to call it like I see it. That's part of my personal brand. And I know it's kind of like revealing my own sort of sleight of hand or whatever, but you guys need to know this stuff. So that's part of my personal brand. Next is I share with you about my love of Volvos and Swedish design in general, but I'm kind of crazy about Volvos, and some people like it, some people don't. The point you're missing is I'm associating it with me. You have things about me that you know, and this is crucial because you have to know if you like me or not, right? It's not enough just to know who I am. You got to know if you like me or not. So coffee is another one that I share with you. I share with you about my love for my dogs and dogs in general. And I share with you about a couple of other things. Mostly, my focus is on demonstrating my expertise and my personality. Expertise, personality. If you've been in my coaching calls before, you've seen me do this one over and over and over again. Expertise and personality. You've got to share those things. And I'm not going to go too far into the sophisticated sort of higher level stuff about that. But if you share about everything, then you effectively share about nothing. If you don't take a stand, then in my mind, you stand for nothing. You get that? Damn it, I wish I knew you got that. So now you've got other things that you're going to have to stack on top of this to have a successful coaching business. You got to make good offers. You've got to come up with something that is attractive as an offer. So you got to make good offers in the sense of the thing that you offer is good. And you have to make good offers in the sense that you know how to articulate the thing that you offer that is good. And you've got to know how to persuade. You've got to be willing to learn persuasion. And you've got to learn how to have enrollment conversations, right? And you've got to learn how to deliver. But without the credibility, you're not even going to get the chance to work on those other things. Having the problem of needing to learn to get better at sales and enrollment is a gift, because it means that you've got people who trust you enough to even talk to you. You understand that? So it may seem like a problem, but it's a gift, because a lot of people can't even get enrollment calls happening. So you've got to establish your credibility first. Your credibility and your personal brand are interchangeable terms. And in the world of social media, no matter what you want to think or believe, the personal brand reigns supreme. Now, does that mean you cannot sell things without a personal brand? No. But it means you're going the static funnel route. It means you're counting on copy and images, both of which most likely you don't know how to do very well, because not many people really know how to write great copy. But you're counting on, and ads, of course, ads budget, right? You can buy credibility through ads and a good funnel, but it's pretty risky. More of them fail than succeed by a wide margin, probably 20-1. So credibility, personal brand. Who the hell are you? What do you stand for? What do you stand against? Why? What things have you chosen to share about your life with me as the viewer? If you can't answer those questions, you need to go back and answer those questions before you even earn the right to complain that your sales process isn't good, or that your, whatever else downstream is a problem. If those are problems for you, that means you've accomplished the hardest part. Get that credibility together. Figure out how you want to show up, and then show up that way. Make content, short content, long content, medium content, video content. Primarily, though, written. Don't try to sidestep learning how to write well. It's just not going to work unless you can hire someone to do it for you. Okay? Credibility, gang. Credibility is what gets you clients. Full stop. Yes, you need the other things, but we won't even get through the door if they don't trust you. Man, I hope that makes sense. I hope somebody watches this and a fucking light bulb goes on, because as much as I love you guys and I want to help everybody, I'm getting a little tired of having this conversation over and over and over again. Get out of here. Go do a content strategy. Go earn some credibility. Go figure out what the hell you stand for. Okay?